Hey there, it's Matt Phillips and welcome to this next video. We're going to explain the beginning elements of the S.O.S breakthrough method. Just before we get started, I just want to remind you why this method exists, how this came about. If you've just watched a previous video about plateaus, fitness plateaus or client or membership plateaus, we understand that really this is about getting unstuck in our business where whatever we're doing has gotten us to a certain point. But at the end of the day, the exact systems, the methods that we're growing our business or that grew our business to where we are today will not get us to the next level. So we need to change things up. We need to change our approach. The S.O.S breakthrough method is a simplification of how I explain what it is that we do when we go in and come in and help someone grow their business. And that's what we're going to talk about right here. Because if we are stuck in a bit of a plateau, many times it's actually a really big warning sign that we're about to, we've come up and up and up, we're plateauing, that we may actually start coming down, particularly if there are more and more competition in the area in terms of similar niche fitness businesses opening up in our local area. And of course we have other trends going where there's online training, there's other methods of what people are doing, right? So really, if you're starting to slow down or you're in that plateau, it is pretty urgent that you actually take action here, and that's, I guess, why you're in this program. And again, just want to remind you, within this program here itself, if you do want to take the fast track option, then go back to the dashboard, click that button to book a call with me. If we've got some sessions left, you'll find some times available. You can book in a session and we can discuss how we would actually really customize this program to you and really get the much more in-depth treatment of this for your business. Having said that, let's dive into the S.O.S breakthrough method. In this video here, we're going to talk about our approach to strategy, which may be a slight shift for you, or it might be quite a significant shift. It depends on where you are. We're going to talk about why we do it this way. So, the elements to the method are the strategy to attract a wider range of leads, the operations side of it to screen these leads and also then convert more to paying members, long-term members, and then the scale element, which is to control your lead flow more like a tap, right? So you can turn it on and turn it off, where you can turn on things like a reactivation, which doesn't cost you any ad spend, or you can do a paid advertising campaign. Either way, you can turn these things on, run them just a few times a year and bring in an influx, or you can more, put things like a paid promotion on a very low ad spend, just $100 a week, for example. When you get it set up, that you can run that progressively through the year. Just depends on what you want to do. So again, the strategy is all about crafting the correct offer, which is what this video here today is going to be all about. And then subsequent videos will talk about the operations side of it and the scale side of it. Okay, so we're going to dive straight in here and talk about the offer. And for the purpose of keeping it simple, there are 4 things I just want you to keep in mind when we craft this offer. So the first one is, the first 2, there you go, is niche marketing to appeal to a wider range of the audience, which I'll explain in a minute. The benefit and feature fusion, and I'll explain how we approach that problem. I'm sure you're familiar with those concepts of features versus benefits. And if you're not, we're going to dive into that here. Time and results-based offers and how that ties into this process. And pricing, of course, which is a really important element because we want to price our offers not in a way just to attract people, but in ways that really encourage people or set people up for success to be able to keep training with you, right? So we're going to talk about those 4 elements right now. But before we do that, get rid of that, I'm going to remind you about this whole customer journey, right? That we have people on various spectrums of the decision process, right? So the people that we're used to with our more organic leads are usually at this end of the spectrum. They're just ready to, they're just comparing you with maybe the place across the road, or they're just ready to make a decision. Yet the real growth of our business lies down this end of the spectrum, where there's a whole range of the community who are probably aware they need to take some action to improve their health and fitness. They're just not really, they're not even at this research stage, so they're not going to find you ever, right? So they're down here. How do we actually work with these people? And that's really the context that we're coming from in this presentation. So niche marketing is a term I just really want to cover off at the beginning of this video because I believe this has been misunderstood by quite a lot of people, specifically in the fitness industry, where sometimes people think, well, niching down means, okay, well, my niche is CrossFit or my niche is Pilates, and specifically we do one-on-one lessons or we do duo lessons, right? It depends, but people think about it in terms of niching down their services, but that's not what niche marketing is about. Can you or should you niche down your services? Yeah, absolutely. But you don't need to really just constrain yourselves to one very, very, very specific type of training. You can still have a broader range of options. What niche marketing means is it's all about presenting an offer to a particular group of people in a way that resonates with them, and they can see, oh, you're talking exactly to me. Let me now have a conversation with you. Super quick example of this was back in the day when vacuum cleaners were just coming about, is that there wasn't like social media advertising, things like that today. And with an advertising budget, you couldn't reach everybody. So you had to really focus on your market, right? So vacuum cleaners were useful for, commercial purposes, domestic purposes. And so for one example, they really just, the successful companies that we probably know now, this is simplifying, but basically identified, well, where do we want to just really focus our marketing dollars, and we'll just go from there. And they really honed in on the domestic market, the use of the vacuum cleaner in the household, and they narrowed just in on that. And then from there, they became huge, the convenience factor there, and then they spread into other areas from there, right? So the whole point was the vacuum cleaner wasn't a niche service. It worked in a whole range of applications, but by narrowing the marketing message, they could spend their narrowed marketing dollars on one particular area and then really penetrate into that marketplace, right? So when I talk about niche marketing, what I'm talking about is how do we craft an offer that appeals to that wider range of the audience, that bigger range of audience who aren't even at the research stage, they're just in the awareness phase, they probably need to take some action. How do we craft an offer that resonates with them, right? And really, this is about understanding emotional benefits and logical features. So when we think about people that are not necessarily even aware of Pilates or aware of functional fitness or whatever it is that we do, we need to understand that we can't talk in a language that reflects what we do, because no one understands what it is, they don't even know what we do, right? So what we want to do is we want to talk about what we do in a way that they understand. And so when I separate benefits from features, what I mean is that emotional benefits are things that, what are the actual results that people get? So if you think about your service, and there's actually a worksheet under this video that I'd like you to do after this video. If you think about your service, what are the reasons that people come in and stay with you? Like, what are the actual results? Because this is different for everybody. And what I want you to do is just pick out like 3 of these for the purpose of this video, right? Just pick out 3 of these. You can do this after the video, but have a think of this afterwards, where if some examples might be weight loss, improved posture, strength gain, improved tone, improved bulk, more energy, stress relief, improved social life, right? There are a range of things that are direct benefits. And the reason I call these emotional benefits is when you say these things, they invoke an emotional response, right? So someone looking for weight loss, like when they see that opportunity in front of them, that invokes an emotional response, because if someone's looking to lose weight, that is likely related to some other area of their life. If someone wants to improve their energy, that's likely related to another area of their life. For example, personally, I know that for me, one of the big things that changed was that from a fitness perspective, when we had kids, I sort of let that go a little bit because just something had to give. And unfortunately, I made that error to let go of my fitness a little bit. And when I got back into fitness, it was really the appeal of getting more energy so I could just, be more present with my kids and not just be like tired all the time, as we are when we're parents, right? And really understanding that fitness, actually what I let go of was actually the very thing I needed to get back into, right? So more energy had a very strong emotional hook for me, because it was related to actually more quality time with my family, right? So they invoke an emotional response. Whereas logical features, these are the enabling factors, right? And these are things that vary for everybody in terms of how we understand it, right? So a logical feature might be that there's a flexible timetable. There are classes at 5 a.m., there are classes at 5 p.m. It might be that there's an option to do personal training sessions. You can book them whenever you like. It might be that there's a creche facility at certain classes that you can actually bring your kids and not have to worry about them. It might be that there is free parking. For those of you in a city, that can be a huge one, right? These are just the enablers, right? Are these things important? Yeah. Do they actually get some sort of emotional response, the fact that I can train at a certain time of day? No, right? So what we want to understand is, and then you'll understand this when you, if you choose to go into our subsequent programs of understanding our full sales method where we talk about context-based memberships, the emotional benefits and the logical features when we're actually talking to someone, we let them pull from our offer the bits that are appropriate to them, right? So we don't just list everything off to a person. So when we craft our offer, that's why I say we need to think about, okay, what are just 3 benefits that we know the type of people that would resonate with our existing community, what are they looking for? Because we know that from the results that people come to us already. What are they? That's our emotional benefits. And then logical features, you'll notice on the worksheet, when you go through that, you could have dozens and dozens of these because these are not things that you put outwardly in the offer. What you might put is just 3 or 4 of these that you know sort of hit on common points that a lot of people are attracted to. Flexible timetables, for example, is a huge one that most people would resonate with, right? Putting things like the fact that you have a creche might be a logical feature you want to list if that element of the market you're trying to appeal to is, mums or dads with young kids, right? So that's an example. So crafting the offer, we want to have our emotional benefits and logical features. I think I've beat you over the head with that enough. Have a look at the worksheet after this video and you'll see where I'm going with this. Now, results and time-based offers. Now, when we actually start to label the offer, so say, for example, we understand that we are looking at people that are looking at gaining energy, they want to improve their posture, and they want to improve their muscle tone. Like these are 3 benefits we know that people definitely get when they come in. And if there are people out there that are looking for that, they're definitely going to resonate with what we do. So if they were our results, and we want to say, okay, energy is a big one there, we might talk about it as a bit of an energy kickstart or an energy, a reinvigoration sort of challenge, if you want to call it a challenge. We don't even call it that often. We like the period kickstart because that ties to the time commitment. Because when we're talking to people down that awareness stage of it, what they understand is what results they're after, which is your emotional benefits, right? And they also understand time. How long is this going to take, right? So if we have if it's open-ended, that's very tricky. If it's 14 days, 28 days, people can understand that. You can take a bite of that and you can say, well, okay, I can do that. I can do 2 weeks. I can do 28 days to get X, Y, Z, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the result happens in that period. That's why we really like the terminology of a kickstart or a habit starter or something like that. So people understand that this is about an initial result that will enable subsequent progress, but it will definitely get them in the right direction to whatever those results are, right? So I'm going to give you an example of this shortly, actually. And then when we jump through to pricing the offer, the big one I want to mention here is that you don't price the offer anywhere, whether it be your website, whether it be on your Facebook page. We don't actually price the offer because remember, we're not talking to people who have a context of price, because price is something that comes in if people are comparing one service to another, right? So if we're looking to attract people who are in that awareness stage of their health and fitness, if we throw a dollar figure up there, there's no context to that, right? They don't know whether that's good value because they don't understand the value proposition. So if we're saying that it's $150 or it's $200 or it's $50, it's all too expensive because it's just, this costs money. That's basically what this says. This costs money, right? And so there's no value there. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a different area of the marketplace where people are comparing, they want to see great value. But that's not what this is about because, trying different cheap offers and things like that is likely the sort of thing that, you might have already done to get where you are now, and it does get some more people in the door. But if we really want to attract this huge group of people that are just in this awareness phase, or maybe they're not even aware, pricing oftentimes just scares people off from even having a conversation. Now, having said that, you're like, well, I still got to charge money for this, right? Absolutely, right? So if you are having an offer, and there's sort of 2 approaches that we've seen work really well with this. One is directly free in terms of a single day or one-to-one personalized introduction from which you can directly sell either your class packs or your memberships. Can work really, really well. The key is making that commitment on that first day. Now, that doesn't work for everybody. If you are going to have a priced offer, which is something we do encourage as well, what a great thing to keep in mind here is that people do correlate whatever dollar figure they see in the first place to what the value of the service is. It's called price anchoring, right? So when you see the first price of something, even at a subconscious level, now you've connected that as an anchor, if you like, to what the value of the service is, right? So if we see that it's $30 for 30 days as an offer, now intellectually, I might understand that that's a value of like, okay, yeah, that's an introductory offer. But now subconsciously, I'm like, okay, so a month of training is worth $30. So if really our monthly training is $200 a month and someone does that introductory offer, that's a big stretch for them to say, to logically commit to monthly training after that. Because even if it's working, they're like, yeah, but now I've got to pay like almost 7 or 8 times as much. It's really hard for them to justify from a logic point of view, which is what people often do. You know, they're triggering that feature brain at that point as to, you know, what do I actually get for this? So instead, when we have a package which is for example, that 14-day, or let's stick with 28 days, I'm going to show you an example of that right now. And we can price that in a way that is commensurate with our normal monthly prices. Then when someone rolls over to a membership or a class pack commitment after that introductory offer, it is actually a logical step. In fact, it's even better if it's slightly more expensive, because then it's like you've got all this to get started. It included some more personalized attention perhaps. And now to, you know, really capitalize on that, because, you know, you can be saying to them like, you know, we know that this isn't going to get the results yet, but to build on that and achieve what you want to really get, you roll onto this membership after this. And this is a conversation you're having with them, you know, a week into it or after they've made that initial commitment. Okay. So, and again, this is something that we really go into in depth in our full programs. If you want to jump into that, again, book that call with me and we can discuss that for sure. But the key thing I want you to take away from this is that it's either a very, very short, I mean, like a day, not even a week, but just a day or a one-on-one session with the free, where once they're in, the whole point is to have that conversation about context-based memberships, where you can then really convey the value proposition of what this is, and then you can bring up pricing, whether that's an initial commitment with the membership straight into it, or it is some sort of introductory offer. Now, what we do, and I'll show you this example ad here, is we'll have an ad like this. I know you probably can't read this, but we might actually throw it up as a zoom in the video actually, where we can see that the top half, we can see what is it called? 28-day mind and body kickstart. That's what's key there. Now, I don't want to sort of get stuck into why does the ad look the way that it looks, but what I want to pull from this is just how this example ad works. This is an offer that's worked really well for us. Then we have in the green ticks, we've done 2 things. We've listed the benefits in the paragraph about strength, posture, and energy. And then we've relisted them in green ticks. They really stick out. These are the benefits, okay? So these are the things that trigger an emotional response. And then we talk about, we've really hit on some of the more, the logical features of what's included, right? So this is where we're talking about the number of classes, the fact that it's reformer and mat, because we know within our niche, this particular studio, that people are either looking for one of those and really a lot of reformer. It's a key word we put at the front. And we put in that it's personalized and it's real, you know, state-of-the-art equipment, because we know that's important to most people as well. So are there other features? Absolutely, there's dozens more features, but there's no point listing them here, because what happens if we list too much is a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't need most of that. This probably isn't the right thing for me. So we keep it very vague in the beginning, and that's what allows us to really tap into this strength, I suppose, of key emotional benefits and key logical features, right? And that's how this crafts into an offer, right? And we'll talk more about ads in a subsequent video.